Today we're going to be talking about relationships, conflict, and what you can do to move forward when things are just not working out anymore. You know when you're at home and you've got a partner, a spouse, a family member, a sibling. You know when you're at work, when you've got a coworker, a boss, a peer, someone who reports to you. Well, you know what we can do sometimes? We often, sometimes or a lot of the times unconsciously, get into habits that just don't feel good. And I think what we need to do first is recognize we're not feeling good. If you go home and you're tired, if you go home and you're stressed, if you go to work and you're tired or stressed, it's possible that the way you're relating to the other people in your house or the other people in your place of employment are just not serving your best interests. Now, this is not the time to start pointing fingers at everyone else who isn't you. Because any relationship, whether it's in the family or at work, takes two or more people to make harmonious. So this video is truly about the balance of self-care and what you need to do to have healthy boundaries with others. You are not responsible for any other person's happiness or their performance. What you can do is control of yourself and explain what you need in others and hope that they rise to the occasion.
This is incredibly important with the holiday season arriving. We have a lot of expectations get packed into the holidays, especially around family. We're carrying baggage with us, a lot of loaded situations, expectations, and what I'm really tasking a lot of my clients to do right now is to be preventative. Think about what happens every year around this time. What is the pattern? Because people tend to feel a victim to whatever pattern or dynamic pops up and feel like they can only react to it. And so if you start to take a preventative approach and go, hey, every year I notice that I get into this dynamic or I start to feel rotten around this, you can then take the steps to manage those feelings and approach the situation a little differently.
Some ways to prepare for encounters that you might not be looking forward to, whether it's holiday meals or a board meeting or the same old job you've been going to forever and ever, is to get clear on what it is you're wanting that's different. And often I'll recommend people put pen to paper. Again, this might sound like a journaling, which we've talked about. It's a different kind of journaling. This is really about goal setting, intention creation, and really about being as specific as possible. Get a piece of paper, please put down no less than 5 things, and they're only going to make sense to you. And let's talk about a relationship for a moment. This could be a spouse, this could be somebody that maybe you're wanting to bring into your life, this could be a coworker, it doesn't matter. What I want you to do is design the perfect relationship from who this person is, what they look like, their relationship to money, their humor, the way they dress, how punctual they are. Put pen to paper, write down 5, 10, 100 things. The number doesn't matter, but at least get things started. I found when I recommend this to patients, they will have a hard time because getting clear on what it is that they want is not something a lot are used to, especially when you've gotten used to not advocating for yourself. And so getting clear, writing down a list of things that you're wanting in another person or a relationship where the focus is on the other person is a good place to start. Now, before your mind starts thinking, well, wait, this has to do with the other person, what about me? Well, that's exactly what you're doing. You're the one putting this list together, and when you're done putting this list together, I will often, with a patient or with a friend or with you, then tell you that because you're the one who generated this list, these are the things that are important to you. Focus on this list. This is what you want from another person, a relationship, a coworker, etc. Spend time with this list. Go about your life, and then come back a week, a month, and 2 months later, at least those 3 times, and look at the list. See if those things are still important to you. See if you've missed anything that needs to be on there. Revise this list. Again, as specific as possible so that you can start getting what's important to you. This isn't about designing a human being to show up in your life. However, that often tends to be the side effect. When you get clear in what you want and what you are going for, you present that to the world, and the universe tends to deliver the balanced response to your desire. So get clear on your desire. What you want to try to get away from is just not trying. Agreeing that your boss is always going to be your boss. Your subordinate's always going to be that way. Your wife is always going to be that way. Your mother, whoever it is, they're just going to be that way, and I've just got to deal with it. Taking care of yourself involves at least having an idea about where you want to go. You don't need to fire your boss and find a new one. You don't need to leave town. You don't need to quit your job. A lot of these times you do, but not always. You don't need to jump ship all the time. Get clear on what you need for yourself and start there.
Oftentimes we can get sucked into feeling like we're the victim to a situation, or we're powerless. We have this narrative where we can't really get in touch with our own needs or assert them. Going into these situations, whether they be at your work or your home or whatever it may be, and trying to make any change feels like it's almost impossible or it's overwhelming. So one of the things that I recommend is to think of yourself as an observer. Try and go into these different situations. You know, I was referring earlier to family events. Try to attend as an observer. Pull back more than you would usually. Try and just notice your reactions. Notice the things that are triggering you. And that is really good information. So sometimes people go, oh, I just feel too much pressure to get everything right or to say the right thing. First, it usually requires you being aware of the triggers or aware of the things that are happening. And so that can relieve some of that pressure of feeling overwhelmed. Just be an observer. Just notice what's happening.
When you start to take note and observe the imbalances around you, the things that bother you, hopefully from a non-reactive place, the things that bother you the most are going to bubble to the surface. And now you get to understand the things that you're going to respond to. Gosh, I'd like it if that person weren't so reactive to me, so angry with me. Gee, I wish that person would reach out a little bit more. It feels like the relationship's a little imbalanced. There's, in these two examples, somebody doing maybe a little bit too much and another person possibly not doing enough. But what can you do then in response to take care of yourself? With the person who might be too irritable, maybe you need to interact a little bit less. And also possibly, again, a healthy boundary would say, this is how it makes me feel. I don't enjoy feeling that way. So that you can at least reflect back that what they're doing has an effect on you. The exact same thing would be for the maybe less than active partner. To let them know, gosh, I'd really like to be interactive more so that they know what's going on inside of you.
I was wondering if we could use maybe a real life example.
Sure.
To just sort of bring this to the surface. We met at a job that we weren't particularly fond of. And so I remember, besides us getting to know each other and really enjoying that process, we got into a pattern of, hating our job together and feeling like we were victims and we had to just keep working there and how awful it was. We were stuck in that place for a while of feeling sort of powerless and stuck in this job. And then I had decided to go to grad school. And at that point, it was like, oh my gosh, I can make a choice to do something different. Like, why did it take me this long to come up with something? I was in this, just stuck in this kind of waiting for something to be different and then just complaining all the time. And so I return back to that feeling a lot, and it comes up a lot with my clients in terms of jobs or relationships, that they just keep kind of hitting their head against the wall and going, why won't this change? Instead of pulling way back and realize you can take some action or you can take some steps in other directions.
One action step I'd recommend is exploring. And what I mean by exploring is, with another personal example, around that time we were developing our relationship, she went back to school. I was quickly losing passion for the job where we met, but for the type of work I was doing. And I had no idea that healthcare was going to be next for me. And my therapist at the time, very brilliant person, and she made a very incredibly simple recommendation, which was to explore, to say yes to everything for a little while. I was in a stagnant position with my work, had no idea what was next for me, and so I interviewed everywhere that I could think to interview that came across my path. Landscape architecture, advertising, radio, all kinds of stuff. And it was honestly a lot like dating. And, you know, like Breanna here, I wanted a second date. And so we kept seeing each other. And 18 years later, we're still here. And acupuncture and Chinese medicine has been with me now for 15 years after I decided to see if there was chemistry with a certain way of working, a certain way of being. And that exploration of what brings the passion out of you can really bring you a relationship. It can bring you a way of being creative, a way of being professional, or a way of truly doing anything. So you might take Breanna's advice, observe for a little while, and then start exploring. Because if you don't explore, you have absolutely no idea what you're going to respond to. What gets us a lot, and what got me stuck for a very long time, is exploring only here.
Right.
I think it might be this way. I won't be able to do that because it costs too much money. That person probably wouldn't approve of me making that choice. All of these internalized people, all of these self-centered ideas where I wasn't engaging with the world. Go out in the world, talk to people, ask questions, be stupid for a while,
Right.
Be a student for a while, be a child or a baby for a while, explore. Things will spark interest in you.
This comes up a lot in the dating world. People are dating online and they have all kinds of criteria that they have listed that they want in a partner. Someone doesn't meet that criteria, and so they go, well, that's not for me. You know, already cut off relationships before they've even have a chance to meet the person. And so using that same mindset of observing ways that you're kind of screening people or cutting people off before you let them in, you know, exploring, hey, I always thought I wasn't into that kind of a person, but I'm going to give it a shot and see if I feel differently.
Okay, full disclosure. My mindset, this is really superficial, but I thought, oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to date anyone with blonde hair. Maybe because there's, I don't know, nobody in my family with blonde hair. I just couldn't see
Barely blonde.
I couldn't see outside of that for whatever reason. I would never have picked acupuncture and Chinese medicine for a profession. I was not looking for it. But when I started just looking, it found me. She found me. I wasn't looking for her, but there she was. And that's how all of this happened. So please, if any of this is helping you, is sparking interest in you, is getting you excited about going out into the world again after we're all quarantined for months, please do so safely with a mask on, maybe go online. But there are ways to explore whether you're at home, in your neighborhood, online, or truly anywhere. So good luck.